Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, the basketball edition. If this is your first time, you get a special welcome. I am so glad you're here and I hope you'll hit the subscribe button after you watch this entire video. JuJu Watkins. You've heard the name. We've been hearing it more and more and more, even just recently, although the NCAA season has really just gotten underway. Not to mention, JuJu has a ring to it. Kind of sounds like something that's worth remembering. Well, a lot of people are talking about JuJu today because she recently did an interview with Forbes, and some of the comments she made have come to light. And actually, I should probably change that and say that most people are talking about not what she did say so much as what she didn't say or whom she didn't mention. And that would be Caitlin Clark. And some people feel like Angel Reese's name should be in there also because she didn't give them the props that some people feel she should have. Instead, she spoke highly of, well, let's take a look at what she said and then we'll get to that and I'll break it down a little bit right now. Here at Marca, you see the headline, JuJu Watkins gives a controversial response when crediting the WNBA's success. And it says Watkins has had her say, and fans of Clark and Reese have noticed. Well, I'm not going to look at all this, but we'll look at a little bit. JuJu Watkins has quickly become a name synonymous with basketball excellence. As a standout player for USC, she is already making waves in her sophomore year of college. With record-breaking performances and comparisons to basketball legends, Watkins is cementing her place as a future star of the WNBA. But when asked about the league's rising popularity, the young phenom offered a take that stirred some conversation. So let's go down to here. In a recent interview with Forbes, Watkins reflected on the WNBA's growth and the players who have paved the way. Notice we're talking about popularity and paving the way. While many might credit Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese for the league's increased visibility, Watkins gave the nod to someone else, her idol, reigning MVP, A'ja Wilson. Okay, and so this is where some people have an issue that because I don't get to be in on the interview, I just get to read some articles about it. And on this one, it makes it plain that she was asked about popularity and increased visibility. And she credits her idol, A'ja Wilson. Let's continue. So this is a quote from JuJu. Yeah, I'm a big A'ja Wilson fan, Watkins said, making it clear who she believes has been instrumental in the league's success. So I'm more of a player person, not really teams, but you know, I love my LA Sparks being from LA, but I'm a big A'ja fan. Just the way she's so dominant on the floor is really inspiring. Okay, so let's go over to Essentially Sports and let's just look at the headline for this one. This headline says, JuJu Watkins ignores Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to credit her idol instead for WNBA's recent growth. Now, I just got to ask you, if you've been paying attention, what do you see that's in similarity between this headline, because that's all we've looked at here, this headline and the little bit I read from Marca's article? I'll tell you, you see this word right here, idol. Speaking of A'ja Wilson, she credits her idol. JuJu credits her idol. And this says ignores Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to credit her idol. Go back over to Marca, go back here. And what did we say? What did we see? She gave the nod to someone else, her idol, reigning MVP, A'ja Wilson. Now, people are saying, as you saw in the Essentially Sports article, that JuJu is ignoring, it said, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Some people feel like she's dissing Caitlin Clark. Some people feel like Angel Reese is involved in that also, but most people deem Caitlin Clark, as she is, to be the person who has drawn in the crowds and the eyeballs. And that's just the way it is. No disrespect to Angel Reese. She obviously has people who are fans of hers, who follow her social media, etc. But come on, Caitlin Clark is the draw, has been the draw, and it just is what it is. And so there are people who say, how, JuJu, can you not mention Caitlin Clark? How is it that you're mentioning A'ja Wilson as someone who has brought in popularity, brought in the eyeballs, part of the visibility and the success? I'm just going to say this. Was JuJu trying to diss Caitlin Clark by not mentioning Caitlin Clark? I can't say that. What I can say is what I pointed out, that both of them mention her idol. A'ja Wilson, for whatever reason, is her idol. And so this young woman, JuJu Watkins, is 19 years old. Caitlin Clark is not her idol. Angel Reese is not her idol. And at 19 years old, when you ask somebody who is responsible for the visibility or the success of the WNBA, now there are people who would argue that the WNBA is not a success. That's a whole different conversation. But that's what she was asked. And she says, A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson, obviously, is a good basketball player. Is she responsible for the visibility of the league? Is she responsible for the popularity that we are now seeing in the WNBA? If JuJu Watkins knows anything about the WNBA, the answer that she knows is true to what I just asked is no. A'ja Wilson being a good basketball player, A'ja Wilson being an Olympian, A'ja Wilson being a champion, still could not move the needle in terms of visibility and interest and success, if you want to call it that, in the WNBA. And if JuJu Watkins doesn't know that, then JuJu Watkins isn't paying attention to her craft. Because if she's paying attention, she knows. But she's 19. She idolizes A'ja Wilson. Two different positions they play. Almost the same height. JuJu's a guard, but she's 6'2". A'ja Wilson is listed as 6'4". Almost the same height. Different positions nonetheless. But she's inspired by A'ja Wilson and how, in her words, how she dominates on the floor. And so that's where she's coming from. It's like asking me back in the day, early in the WNBA. I don't even want to entertain anybody else. I loved Cynthia Cooper. And to this day, I still say, you got to move over that talk about other GOATs. You got to have Cynthia Cooper at the top of the list. Why? Because that's where my focus was. I love Cynthia Cooper. So JuJu is not entertaining thoughts about anybody else. I don't know that she's trying to diss them so much as she's trying to give honor to someone who she's a huge fan of. I mean, I don't know. That's just the way I see it. Now, all this conversation about JuJu Watkins, about her being in the same sentence being called a Jordan, you guys gotta hold that down, okay? JuJu Watkins is a sophomore. And if JuJu Watkins as a sophomore doesn't understand that Caitlin Clark is the face of the league, that Caitlin Clark is bringing in the eyeballs, that Caitlin Clark is really paving a way for JuJu Watkins, then we certainly don't need to be talking about her in some of the ways I hear people talking about her. Let me just show you something about what someone said, and we gotta hold this thing down, guys. We gotta back it up. So check this out. So here we are at Hoop Central on X, Let's take a look. JuJu Watkins is heading to be the best women's player to ever play the game. Bookmark this. Let me read that again. JuJu Watkins is heading to be the best women's player to ever play the game? Are we serious? This young woman is an incredible basketball player. How is it, though, that already people are crowning her to be headed to be the best in the game? How do you know that already? What I find fascinating is that just a few months ago, if anyone suggested that anyone other than Diana Taurasi could even be in the GOAT conversation, my goodness, they would be ready to swallow you up. Suggest that Caitlin Clark could somehow stand alongside Diana Taurasi. It was like, what did you say? That's blasphemy. And now we're talking about a sophomore in college who's really just getting going. Although she's got some really good numbers. But you're bypassing, in that statement, you're bypassing Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Miller, both of whom went to USC, Lisa Leslie, who also went to USC. You're even bypassing Asia Wilson, her idol. You're bypassing Diana Taurasi, and you're already saying the best women's player to ever play the game. I just find it interesting that when it came to Caitlin Clark, you were way out of line if you made that suggestion. But you're rushing JuJu into that conversation. Seems to me like maybe you want to kind of get her in there to try to get Caitlin Clark out of the way. And it's not just Hoop Herald. You're hearing these conversations all over the place. And let's just take a look at what she did tonight. JuJu playing St. Louis. Got to give it to her. Let's take a look. JuJu against St. Louis scored 34, excuse me, not 24, 34 points, 12 of 22 field goals, 6 rebounds. That's quite a game. Now, that's impressive regardless, but I would be more impressive if she could put up those numbers against Notre Dame, against Hannah Hidalgo. And we watched that game. I went live for that game. I reported on that game. And though she had 24 points, she was anything but one who should be in the conversation as being the best ever at this point to play the game. St. Louis, it's not Notre Dame. It's not many teams. I expect you, JuJu, to score a whole lot of points in that game, especially when I look at the highlights and I see how they guarded you. Let's just take a look at that. I want you to notice how they are playing JuJu.
Great offense from their board work. Echo, skip.
Now, you see how she had, you see where she is? So the ball is here, and it's about to go to the left corner to JuJu. This player is all the way over here. So JuJu catches, and JuJu shoots, and JuJu scores. Look at that. She's got all this kind of space. Okay? You're getting this kind of space, and you're JuJu Watkins? Yeah, you're going to knock down 34 points. Okay? And she does.
Skips it to Watson. Corner three is good.
Now JuJu's bringing the ball up the floor. Let's see what happens here.
Finish the lane. So that's when you go down on 10. So
Look at that. Look at this space. Look at the space JuJu Watkins has.
Pump fake.
And shoots the rock.
And then get your shot off.
And scores. Now, kudos to the other team for the wonderful box out. Look at that wonderful box out right there after the shot. but she had a day and a half to shoot that. Look at the distance. So I don't know what's going on here defensively, but that's a whole lot of space for JuJu Watkins, and she ends up with 34 points. Why do I point this out? As I said before, I'm going to be more impressed if JuJu Watkins can score when you've got a Notre Dame, when you've got a Sonia Citron in your face, causing all kinds of turnovers, right? So it's games like this where you're getting comments like she's headed to being the best ever, because you're really kind of trying to rush and say, let's get Caitlin out of there, which is why you get these articles and stuff like that and beefing up the controversy, because rivalries sell basically, but they didn't really sell that much before A'ja Wilson. No, before Caitlin Clark. And again, if JuJu Watkins doesn't know that, then she doesn't know as much about the WNBA as she might need to know if she plans to play in the league. Now, having said that, again, I point out, she's talking about her idol. She's 19. She's a sports fan, at least a player fan, as she says, not so much a team fan. And she loves A'ja Wilson. So for those who say, well, she's just trying to diss Caitlin Clark, I'm going to take you back to February. And the commentator was trying to drum that up. And JuJu, with a smile, nicely put the person in her place.
Now, there's a lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's
this
crazy.
season.
Yeah. More to come for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, who? No,
Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Much respect there.
JuJu.
So did you hear that? Did you hear that? Caitlin Clark, who? She's talking to JuJu Watkins. Caitlin Clark, who? Probably just some friendly needling. And JuJu said, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Much respect there. And that was back in February. And she put the kibosh on that. So, yeah, she didn't want none of that. But again, people thrive on the controversy. So I don't know so much that JuJu was just trying to be disrespectful of Caitlin Clark when asked about the success of the league, but in her fangirl mind, it's A'ja Wilson because that's her idol. But again, if she's going to flourish at this level going forward, and certainly at the next level, if she really thinks it's A'ja Wilson, although A'ja Wilson is obviously a great player, but as far as visibility and as far as popularity, A'ja Wilson doesn't move the needle. And if JuJu doesn't know that, she'll have to figure that out real fast. And I assume she will. I think all the good players, great players, can coexist. Keep it real, because I'm going to keep it real, but I think they can coexist. What do you think? Make sure you get in the comments. Share respectfully what your thoughts are. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.